covered in ashes when they left me bleeding. Is rise of the phoenix, forever succeeding. I'm keeping on grinding, my energy's rising. Transitional crashes no longer surprising. I gave it to source, the old me is dead. Destroying all curses, I live by the bread. I'm holding my head up, I'm standing my ground. The empress arrived, the loss has been found.
Vibe gang gang dang, what it do? It's your girl Empress Pre, sending you love and light wherever you are in the sector of your universe. Welcome y'all to another episode of Let's Talk Baby. Kicking it off right in the Queendom Hood. We got my girl Natasha Barshalom coming up in the house. Holla at us.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Natasha Barshalom.
Oh, Barshalom, y'all. Sorry.
Barshalom, you know what it is. I'm just kidding.
And what do you do, sis?
What do I do? I do all types of stuff, but I'm the owner and founder of a nonprofit organization that is aiming to end mental suffering by hosting events that will bring accountability partners into your life, will bring support into your life, positive energy, resources. We're known for an event called Winning Wednesday. It's an 8-month project. Once a month, we're right outside on 14th and Bannock, and we provide complimentary services such as haircuts, acupuncture, massage. They're available to you by having currency tokens. These currency tokens are used like money, but you could earn them by being a good person and showing acts of kindness, being a volunteer in the community, all different types of ways. But so I own a nonprofit. I'm a makeup artist here in Denver. And that's really about it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. She out there like that. So why don't you just let them know what made you start Winning Wednesdays? How did that come about?
A whole lot of trauma. A whole lot of bad choices. Loss. Feeling stuck and being in a repetitive cycle. I experienced infertility, and right around that same time of being told I couldn't have children, I walked away from a 14-year relationship where we fell in love through trauma bonding, and he passed away. So it just really brought me to my knees, having everything taken away from me, like the ability to have kids, the thought and vision to have a family. I've spent 14 years with my best friend. Even though we fell in love through trauma bonding, that was my other half. I'm very much who I am today because of that partnership and that relationship. So it was just a lot to take in. I've always kind of felt alone. Left home at 18, kind of never looked back, ran to the streets. Phil was from Watts, California. Was born addicted to drugs. Mom's not in his life. Dad's not in his life. The family members that he did have in his life were very involved in gang banging. And he was 11 years older than me. So when you're growing up, he experienced the Watts riots. He grew up in LA when LA was at its most dangerous peak when it came to gang banging and crack being introduced to projects. So having a relationship with someone where since May 14th, 2009, we spent every single day together. We worked together. We lived together. We kind of bled into each other. Mm-hmm. What I experienced as a child affected him. What he experienced affected me. But we also grew because of that. When I experienced infertility, and he was still around, because the infertility, the pregnancy loss happened 2 years prior to him dying. Sorry. Maybe even 3. I kind of black out a lot of that time of my life. But my grandmother had passed away too from being a diabetic. She was scheduled to have her legs amputated, and she died on the surgery table. And I was very, very close to my grandma. That's my dad's mom. I'm a lot like her. But I just got to a point where there was like so much pain that I was feeling. Like, it wasn't that I was unhappy in my relationship, but I started to realize very clearly that I don't like to say it was an unhealthy relationship. There could have been a lot of better decision making, but we kind of just met where we were at together. And so finding out that I couldn't have children after being pregnant 7 times with him, and grandma passing, and it was diabetes that took her out, and it kind of just was all like this overwhelming understanding that a lot of this was like self-inflicted. I started to experience the importance of like accountability. It was something that I couldn't shake, and I made, through a lot of journal entry, a lot of crying, a lot of prayer, I came to a decision where I made a lifestyle change. And I was 367 pounds at this point of life, and I just wanted to start there. Like, okay, if you're telling me I can't have children, I've been pregnant 7 times, so it's not that I can't get pregnant, I'm just not keeping these pregnancies. I started doing my own research, because when you're being told by doctors that you're healthy as an ox, and we don't really know why you're losing your pregnancies, besides after the 4th time I was told and diagnosed with endometriosis. But it felt like that was like a brand new thing hitting the market at that time. Everyone was getting diagnosed with endometriosis all of a sudden. But the 3 years prior to that, they had no idea what was going on, and I was just told, we don't know why you're losing the pregnancies. So through my own diagnosis and research, I started learning that we carry trauma. Women are known for kind of holding trauma in our womb space. I was eating very unhealthy. I was very overweight. And I know from the research of looking into miscarriages, because some of those pregnancies, they were lost by miscarriage, it always said stress or like trauma. And I'm like, okay, so you don't feel stressed, but you're definitely going through stress. And it just took all these big things happening for me to get it. And I made a major lifestyle change. A lot of obesity and health problems come from overeating. It's not even what we're eating, which, yes, what we eat has something to do with it too, but you don't have to not ever again eat a Snicker bar to be healthy. Like, you just have to eat a certain way. And it, understanding that made it a lot easier for me to start making decisions, especially having those consequences and all that trauma and pain that was lingering in the forefront. It was like motivating me to be a better person. And that's really how Winning Wednesday, I know it's taking forever to get to the exact answer to your question.
No, I like that you explained the journey. You know what I'm saying? Because that is a lot to get to that point, to find your passion within the pain.
Yeah, so it was a lot of trial and error, and a lot of writing things down, and a lot of just not wanting to suffer anymore, and acknowledging that even if it sucks to take accountability, because you know that there's other individuals and parts to those decisions being made. Like, it's so easy to play victim or feel offended by someone saying you're playing victim, but at the end of the day, that's really what holds us back, is victim mentality. Like, you don't like the way your life is going, you need to change it. But at the same time, that doesn't mean be insensitive and disregard those that are hurting and haven't come to that understanding or haven't experienced enough to get it yet. Because it took me, outside of that, in and out of jail, theft, around like pimping and hoeing and booster and gangbangers and, a whole bunch of stuff came out of just feeling alone and not being willing to take accountability and not being able to pinpoint my triggers. And You know, when you lose the ability to have children, especially for me, like, I'm not saying I had it worse, but I liked women like my whole life. Like, I was getting in trouble and like 5, 6 years old. I'm watching Disney and my mom's like, "No, honey, Prince Charming is handsome, not Ariel is pretty." Like, she would stress, like, why is she talking about women all the time? Like, you don't see the boys? And I used to like cry myself to sleep in middle school and high school because I'm not here to like paint my dad out to be a bad guy, but my dad was very hard on me. Like, he saw himself in him, and I definitely got that end of the stick. And I mean, that's really, I'm not a victim, and it's really been empowering and has allowed me to become so excited to just keep going towards becoming the best version of myself. And what does that look like for me? It's being centered, it's being allowing my inner child to come out and play, open-hearted and close to God. I recently have had this overwhelming like sensation and feeling to just dive into this. I use this as my wallet. I'm not really a purse girl, so it
I was
zips.
going to ask you because you had it in your hand. What is this?
Yeah,
What's this?
It's my Bible.
Okay.
It's a Bible. Yeah, and it again, looking back at all the trauma, all the wounds, and if I'm staying in a space of accountability and acknowledging that a lot of that was repetitive and was continuing because I wasn't acknowledging my part in it. And I was putting too much energy and time in like dwelling on certain things or trying to go about fixing things in my way. Or under my perspective, and I'm just learning that the more I lean into God, the more I just surrender and put my hands up and focus on my role in every aspect of my life. Again, regardless if other people have their hands and there is involvement that, you know, bad things are happening to me and I'm not necessarily doing anything, but it's never that I'm not doing anything, because there's always a way to respond and react and make better decisions and understand what it is that's hurting me, and just I like to focus in on the lessons, and then I give it to God and let Him to continue to lead the way. Because before, a lot of those bad choices, in and out of jail, ending up in like escort services and just all of that, like looking back, that all came from those emotions of feeling alone and feeling like I was a people pleaser. And I left home at 18. I had no money, I had no job. I went to Cheyenne High School, and Cheyenne High School is right outside of what's called the hood in Las Vegas. Now, I'm from California, so it's definitely different energy, but you know, I ran to the west side because that's where all the homies live. That's the houses that were being offered to me to stay at. I didn't leave home and go get my own apartment. I left home like the day I turned 18, like, F you, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing this anymore, and you can't do anything about it because legally I'm 18 and I'm allowed to leave. And even though my daddy never like whooped us or nothing, like, boy, did he put the fear of God. Like, right. We knew Dad said you're not going nowhere, you're not going anywhere, you're not 18 yet. He's the lawmaker. But yeah, the day I turned 18, I left, and I ended up in an environment that I was unfamiliar with. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, I grew up with Mom and Dad that are very different. Mom's born into money. Mom, you know, grew up going to Hawaii on summer break, and my dad's from the projects and has a single mom. And my mom had Mom and Dad, and just very different, just like me and Phil, very different. Like, my mom and dad were married 38 years. The only reason why I say were is because my dad passed away 2 years ago. But I just experienced a very different upbringing, and it was very traumatic to me. That's why I left. But when I went into a neighborhood that I didn't come from and saw, you know, that allowed me to be with Phil for 14 years because it allowed me to see him. And I didn't hold his bad decisions against him because I experienced a neighborhood where the average person doesn't have mom and dad at home.
Right.
And there's drugs involved, and there's abuse, and there's children being in and out of the home. And then as I grow older, I start understanding why those neighborhoods go through this, because of the systems that are put into place and the government and all of these broken areas. And it's just like looking back. But when people ask, like, how did Winning Wednesday start? It just started by
life.
Building a relationship with God and things becoming more clear and understanding, oh, girl, you can't play victim. You're not the only one going through this.
Right.
Everyone you come across has a story.
Right.
You know, and I'm reading the Bible, and I ask a lot of my closest friends, Ashley that's in here, who's going to be on the show too, tune into that video as well.
You bet.
I'm new to the Bible, reading the Bible. And I'm reading it, and I'm like confused. Why when I go to church, or why is it that what I've taken away from the Bible, even though I haven't read it, is that it's like past tense. This is a book about something that's over. Like it's not currently happening right now. There's an Old Testament, there's a New Testament, and then that's it. Like, I'm reading this, and this is a book of testimonies. These are live human beings in this book. Jesus was covered with flesh to play his role as God's child. Things are very much so clicking. And Winning Wednesday has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with the people that I want to make impact in their life, or I could acknowledge by our encounters that you are holding on to trauma, regardless if you want to admit it or not. Or when I'm dealing with the houseless people, my friends, my neighbors, that's what I'm trying to get rid of, is that we call these people different names.
Right.
Because we're all just trying to figure it out.
Right.
And the way things are unfolding as I get older, and I just do more of things from an intentional place and coming from like my roots, like why I'm here. It just becomes very clear, like, we're supposed to come to a point where we just play our role.
Right.
Like, we all have roles to play, and it's not about you becoming successful. It's not about you making it to stardom. It's not about you, like, I'm so happy for all of those that do experience that, and that's what it gets to, but please don't feel like you're not deserving or something, like you got the shit end of the stick. Excuse me if we're not allowed to cuss here. I cuss a lot. That's another reason why I'm
fine.
like, how do I talk?
You're okay. Talk like you.
Okay. Well, in that case, motherfucker.
Bring that shit in, girl.
You're
like
just
you
now telling me I wish I would have. No, just kidding. But yeah, we just have a role.
Yeah.
Play your role. Understand that you're deserving. Tell your story. Allow yourself to be present. Open your heart. Rebuke the fuck out of fear. Fear is the enemy, and you're not gonna figure anything out if you're always staying in a comfortable zone, or like comfort zones are very dangerous.
Facts.
And for a long time, my relationship with God started with me being pissed and asking him, "You don't exist. I keep getting pregnant. I'm a good person.
Right.
I'm a good person, especially when it comes to children. Have I been to jail for stealing 3 shirts from Walmart? Yes, I have. But guess what? Guess where those 3 shirts went? Right to the homies that don't have the money to buy it and had a job interview or something to do. I'm not saying that I don't take accountability, that I wasn't breaking the law, but I'm not going to convince myself that I don't deserve an abundant life because I have theft on my background when I was 17 years old. And that's another thing that, Winning Wednesday represents for me, is stop acting like you know somebody and you have no clue.
Same.
Like, you guys are judgmental as heck.
Facts.
And you cannot convince me that that's not the life we live in. It is. It's very much so the life we live in. And I promise you, you play a part of that too. If you don't feel the shift, if you don't realize that we're coming to a point where we have to start fighting against the systems, we have to start using our voices. You know, there's a reason why everyone and their mama is doing a podcast, because everybody and their mama feel it. And you just aren't calling yourself out for what it is you're exactly feeling. You're making it about you. And that's not said, you know, in a bad place, but that's where it started for me too. Like it's just always pointing the finger. And when I've learned to like just really hone in and focus on my role and align it with all the things that are happening like across the globe, especially here in the United States, I just rather live walking in a purpose, and I know it's getting to a point where we need to start doing that, because, you know, Americans are very spoiled, and you guys are not. You guys are not gonna like what happens if something big was to happen. We have to be prepared for that, and I really think it's not gonna hurt you to tap into just opening your heart more. Like meeting people in the middle, meeting yourself in the middle, and being productive and being the best version of yourself, whatever that may look like. Yeah, because we all do have different life experience.
Yeah, we do, and I thank you for sharing that with everybody. Now I know I met you at a Winning Wednesday when I was there, like for an interview back in the day. Y'all check on the podcast. She was out there, and Caesar the Barber and everybody else chopping it up with Shelly. Say what up, dude. I met you from Winning Wednesday, and I seen the program and everything that was going on. I was really drawn to your energy and everything that was going on. So I'm glad that we connected, and I'm glad that you have something together like that. Now, I know you mentioned the address. Is there, what is your handle where people can follow on social media just in case they are not in the Mile High City?
Of course. So we have our official channel, which is on Instagram, KOSM_Triggered Futures. And then I also use my personal Instagram as kind of a showcase of what we do in the community, and that's Natasha Barshalom. NatashaBarshalom. Natasha Barshalom.
That's what's up. And then if anybody want to send any donations or anything, do you accept that? Where can
we do accept that? I have Cash App, Natasha Barshalom. I got purple hair in that picture. We also have a Venmo, GoFundMe. If you go to my Instagram, we actually have 2 GoFundMe accounts. One for the KOSM, the organization. All money raised through that GoFundMe is poured back into the community, no matter what it is I'm going through. And then a friend did recently start a GoFundMe because my events grew really quickly. And I really just, you did ask me how it started, and I gave you the backstory, but like the actual footprint, and we won't go too deep into that, because you're just going to have to tune into another episode.
Exactly.
It's going to be too long. But yeah, GoFundMe. Go to the GoFundMe. The link is in my bio on my Instagram. My homegirl wrote it, kind of surprised me, shocked me, and was like, girl, I'm tired of watching you struggle. But we've been active in the community for 3 years, and we're just now becoming a nonprofit. So about 90% of the funding was covered by myself, and then there were times when I couldn't make it happen for a weekly event, and I needed, $40 in on the food, and I would be able to put a call out to the community and get small contributions to fund the events over the last 3 years. But now we have fiscal sponsorship. Shout out to Consumption Literacy Project. We just got our first grant. We're getting paid over 5 different increments from the Denver Foundation. Thank you guys so much for acknowledging the work that I do, that we do. Although I am the visionary behind Winning Wednesday, it got to this point, it grew the way it did because there were so many people involved with just making it happen. KOSM is about acknowledging mental health. We are not a give back organization. We do not just hand out stuff. It's a lot deeper than that. So yeah, tune into our next episode and you might find out what that looks like.
It's okay.
And my friend, my business partner, board member of KOSM, you're going to meet her here shortly, reminding me that we do have our first event of the year happening on July 31st at 2 p.m. right on 14th and Bannock. We have some really, really dope other nonprofit organizations that are going to be a part of it. We're getting so many donations. I'm not going to lie, with all the things happening this month. I'm moving in. I'm getting baptized on the 28th. I'm like, we got to postpone the event. Like, Winning Wednesday has to be pushed out a couple months. And the board was like, no, we don't. People are ready for it. We're getting donations. Shout out to Bomba Socks. They gave us 1,500 pair of socks. We went to Bayard Enterprise. We got 500 fentanyl test strips. We have Narcan to give out. We have clothing. Haircuts, massage, acupuncture, community dinner, open mic, July 31st, 2 to 7 o'clock. And we can't wait to see you. You guys be helping me, so I hope it does help at least one of you. Okay. And make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Homies YouTube channel, like, comment, and share. Go to your Instagram, tag me, Natasha Barshalom, or KOSM _Triggered Futures, and Let's Talk Podcast, right?
Yeah.